The world remembered Captain Arav for one strange reason. He was the man who died for 60 minutes and came back. Some people called him blessed. Others called him cursed. But Arav never liked any of those words. He only remembered the pain, the darkness, and the single voice that whispered to him while his heart was not beating. It all began 15 years ago, on a cold night near the Indian coastal border. Arav was a rescue pilot working for the Emergency Response Unit. He had saved many lives in storms, fires, and disasters, but that night was different. That night, something fell from the sky. A strange object crashed near the sea. No one knew what it was. Some said it looked like a burning star. Others said it looked like a giant metal bird. All the alarms fired at once, and Arav was sent to investigate. When he reached the crash site, the ground was shaking with heat. A massive silver structure lay broken on the rocks. It was not any plane he had ever seen. No wings, no windows, no markings. The surface glowed with lines of blue light like living veins. Arav pushed forward through the smoke. And then he heard it, crying, soft, weak, coming from inside the strange machine. His training took control. He broke the metal with special tools and ripped open an opening. Inside he found 3 survivors. But they weren't human. Their skin was pale silver, and their eyes glowed softly like stars. Their faces showed fear, not of him, but of something chasing them. They were injured and afraid, but they trusted him. He pulled them out one by one, carrying them away from the fire. The smoke grew thicker. The ground shook harder. Something inside the ship began to hiss. Arav looked back. The entire structure was about to explode. He had 2 choices: run for his life, or go back and save the last survivor still trapped inside. He didn't think twice. Arav ran inside again. The heat hit him like fire. Sparks rained from the walls. He found the last survivor, a small child, hardly breathing. Arav lifted the child into his arms and ran toward the exit. He did not make it. The explosion shook the coastline. The flash of light drowned everything. Rescue teams arrived minutes later and found Arav's body lying near the rocks. The alien child still protected in his arms. His heart had stopped. For 1 hour, doctors worked on him. For 1 hour, he did not breathe. And for 1 hour, something strange happened inside his mind. Arav later said he remembered nothing but a voice, a cold, echoing voice that said, "You are not done. You will be needed." Then he gasped and returned to life. Everyone called it a miracle, but Arav felt no joy. He felt only fear. Because while he lay dead, he had seen a place with no light, no shape, no time. And in that place something had touched him, something powerful, something not human. For years he tried to forget. He retired from service, moved to a quiet town, and lived a simple life. But every year on the same night, he had the same dream, the voice calling him again. And now, after 15 years of silence, the sky above his town began to glow. A strange ship entered Earth's orbit. Someone was coming. Not for Earth, not for war, but for him, the man who died for 60 minutes. And the world was about to learn why. Asterisk. The sky was glowing an unnatural shade of purple when Arav first saw it. He had thought the strange ship above his town was a mistake, a reflection of the city lights. But it wasn't. The ship hovered silently, massive and smooth, like liquid metal. No sound came from it. Yet Arav felt a pressure in his chest, as if it were calling him. He had spent 15 years trying to forget that night, the night he died for 60 minutes. But something told him this was not a coincidence. Something told him the voice he had heard all those years ago was alive. Again the ship opened. A beam of pale light shot down, bathing his small backyard in silver. Arav froze. From the light stepped 3 figures. They moved with grace and precision, their skin shimmering faintly like polished metal. Their eyes glowed softly, and in their hands they carried a small fragile form wrapped in a glowing fabric. The child. Arav's heart skipped. He had seen that child 15 years ago, carried in his arms while death circled them both. And now she was here. But older, taller, stronger, and unmistakably regal. "She is yours," one of the figures said in a language Arav could not understand. And yet, the words rang inside his mind, perfectly clear. Arav stumbled back. "Mine? What do you mean?" "I'm just a man," he said, his voice shaking. The child unwrapped herself. Her hair shimmered like silver threads. Her eyes were a deep, glowing violet. She looked at him with a mixture of fear, awe, and recognition, and spoke in clear, trembling English. "I am Princess Lyra. I have been searching for you for 15 years. Arav took a step back, bewildered. Why me?" Lyra's gaze did not waver. "Because you saved my life. Because when you died, something inside you changed. You became the guardian. The one who can save my people." He shook his head. "I'm just a man. I don't know anything about aliens, empires, or guardians." "They know," said one of the alien figures, voice echoing like a distant wind. "Your heart carries what our technology could not erase. You were chosen the moment you returned from death." Arav tried to process the words, but nothing made sense. His quiet life, the normal world he had built, everything was gone. And yet, looking at Lyra, he felt something stir deep inside, a memory, faint but undeniable, of a promise made without words. "They are coming," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. "The ones who destroyed my world are hunting me. They will not stop until they have taken me and destroyed anyone who helped me." Arav's chest tightened. Fear mixed with an unfamiliar surge of purpose. He had survived death once. Could he survive this? Before he could answer, the alien figure stepped aside, and the ground shook. From the shadows of the trees, a low hum grew louder, metallic, and menacing. It was the sound of ships, not just any ships, but a fleet. Sleek, black, and deadly. Lyra's eyes widened. "They found us." Arav looked at her. The tiny, fragile princess from 15 years ago now stood strong, but she still needed him. His choice was clear, even if his mind screamed to run. Protect her, or watch everything fall. And somewhere deep inside, he heard the same voice he had heard while dead, whispering again, "You are not done. You will be needed." Arav swallowed hard. He had no idea what was coming. But he knew one thing. His life, the quiet life he had cherished, was over, and the adventure had only just begun. Arav's heart pounded as he watched the dark fleet descend. Hundreds of black ships, sleek and silent, blocked the purple sky. They were not Earth's technology, not even close. Each ship glowed with red symbols, pulsing like a heartbeat. And at the center, larger than the rest, was the command ship, menacing, alive, watching him. Lyra stepped closer to Arav. Her hand trembled slightly as she touched his arm. "They know where we are," she whispered. "Vrax, he has been searching for me, and now he has found you too." Arav swallowed hard. "Vrax? Who is he? Why does he want you?" Lyra's violet eyes darkened. "Vrax is a warlord from my world. He destroyed my kingdom and hunted my people. When you saved me, even as a child, you marked yourself. He can sense that. And now, he will not stop until either you or I are dead." The ground shook as the first black ships landed. Nearby, alien soldiers emerged, tall, armored, with weapons that shimmered like liquid metal. They moved in perfect synchronization, silent but deadly. Arav instinctively moved in front of Lyra. "I don't know how to fight," he admitted. "I'm just a man. I'm not like you." Lyra shook her head. "It's not about fighting. It's about surviving. And you have survived death once. That is why you can face them." Before he could respond, the lead soldier spoke. A voice like grinding metal echoed in Arav's mind. "Hand over the princess, or Earth will burn." Arav felt the words inside. His head, not spoken, but forced, like they could reach straight into his mind. The soldiers' eyes glowed red. Their weapons aimed directly at him. He glanced at Lyra. Her small hand held a glowing orb, a piece of her world's technology. "We can run," she said, "but only for a while. They are faster than any human pursuit." Arav nodded. He had no plan, but his instincts kicked in. He grabbed a nearby vehicle, a small rescue hovercraft from the local emergency station, and helped Lyra inside. The engines roared to life. He had flown crafts before, but never like this. The controls hummed under his hands, responding as if they knew him, as if they had waited for this moment. The black soldiers fired. Beams of red light sliced through the air, missing by inches. Arav's heart raced, adrenaline surging. He twisted the craft, dodging lasers and leaping over shattered trees. Lyra clutched the glowing orb, whispering to it in a language Arav could not understand. The orb pulsed, sending a shield around them that flickered under the enemy fire. Arav realized something terrifying. These were not ordinary soldiers. They could sense fear, hesitation, weakness. And if he made a single mistake, they would kill him. A sudden explosion rocked the hovercraft. Arav swerved sharply, barely avoiding a crashing black ship. He looked down at Lyra. She was pale but determined. Her eyes met his. "You can do this," she said. "I trust you." Something inside him snapped. Fear melted into resolve. He remembered the voice he had heard while dead, 15 years ago. "You are not done. You will be needed." This time he understood. He was not just a man. He was the guardian. And right now, he had a choice: hide or fight, flee or survive. He pressed the controls harder, and the hovercraft shot upward, leaving the fleet behind for a moment. But in the distance, the command ship's shadow grew larger. Vrax had arrived in person. Arav swallowed. He had no idea what awaited him. But one thing was certain: the hunt had begun, and this time, he could not hide. The ship was silent as it glided through space, far above the clouds and cities of Earth. Arav sat next to Lyra, his hands gripping the edge of the control panel, heart still racing from the chase. Below them, Earth shrank into a pale blue marble. Above, countless stars blinked like distant eyes. Lyra's small fingers hovered over a glowing orb. "This way," she said softly, her eyes fixed on the strange symbols floating in the air. "We're almost there." "The star map will tell us what we must do." Arav frowned. "Star map? What is it? Some kind of weapon?" Lyra shook her head. "Not a weapon, a map, but not like any map you have seen. It shows the paths of life and death, the places where souls have been touched by power. And you, your soul, is on it." Arav's stomach twisted. He had thought he had escaped death, thought he had returned to a normal life. But now he realized something inside him had changed forever, something beyond understanding. That the ship's main chamber opened like a giant flower. In the center floated a large holographic map, thousands of stars spinning slowly. One star, bright and pulsing, seemed to resonate with Arav's heartbeat. The air around it hummed faintly, vibrating in time with his pulse. Lyra stepped closer. "That is where your soul went when you died, the place you saw, the moment you returned from death. It is also where the power you carry comes from." Arav leaned forward, staring at the star. "Power? Me? I'm just a man. I don't even know how to control anything. I almost died saving you 15 years ago, that's all." Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. "No, you did more than that. You were chosen. Only someone who has faced death and returned can awaken what is hidden there. That is why Vrax hunts you. That is why my people have waited for you." The hum of the ship grew louder. Lights flickered across the walls. The holographic map shifted, revealing another hidden pattern. Thousands of lines connecting the stars, forming a network that resembled a massive web. A smaller blinking symbol appeared, pulsing faster, almost like a warning. Arav's breath caught. "Is that me?" "Yes," Lyra said quietly. "It is linked to your heartbeat. Only you can activate it. Only you can unlock the weapon that can stop Vrax." The words hit him like ice water. A weapon, capable of stopping Vrax, and he was supposed to control it? Fear and doubt surged. He had survived death once, yes, but he was still just a man. How could he handle such responsibility? Before he could answer, the ship shuddered violently. Red lights flashed across the chamber. Vrax's fleet had tracked them again. The black ships moved faster than thought, closing in from all directions. Lyra grabbed his arm. "We don't have much time. If Vrax reaches this map before you understand it, everything is lost." Arav took a deep breath. He felt the familiar echo of that voice from long ago, the one that whispered in the darkness while he lay dead. "You are not done. You will be needed." This time, the words felt different. Not a warning, not a ghost. A command. Arav looked at Lyra. Her violet eyes were steady, trusting, even in the face of the approaching enemy. Suddenly, he knew what he had to do. He could not hide. He could not run. He placed his hands over the blinking symbol. The energy pulsed through him like fire, cold and alive. A vision flashed before his eyes, the moment of his death. Child he saved, the voice in the darkness. And Vrax, waiting for him, watching, always hunting. The ship shook again. Red beams sliced past the hull, closer than ever. Arav's fingers trembled, but he held steady. Whatever this power was, it had chosen him once. And it had not finished with him yet. Lyra whispered, "Trust yourself, Arav. You are the guardian." For the first time in 15 years, he felt it, certainty. Fear was still there, but it was no longer controlling him. He was needed. And he would not fail. Above Earth, in the cold void of space, a man who had died for 60 minutes began to awaken. The destiny that had been waiting for him. The planet they landed on was dead. Its surface was cracked, gray, and silent. There were no sounds of wind, no water, no life. Only the echo of their steps as Arav and Lyra walked across jagged rocks toward the ruins that rose from the desert like ancient teeth. "This is it," Lyra whispered, her eyes scanning the horizon. "The lost temple of light. Only here can the heart of dawn be awakened." Arav's stomach tightened. The heart of dawn. The words felt heavy, like a responsibility too big for any man. And yet, here he was, the man who had died for 60 minutes, facing a world that seemed untouched by time or mercy. The temple was enormous. Its walls were carved from smooth, pale stone that glowed faintly under Lyra's orb. Symbols pulsed along the surface like they were alive. Arav ran his fingers along the carvings, feeling the vibrations travel up his arms. Something deep inside him responded. It was familiar, yet alien. A memory of that first death, the voice that had called to him from the darkness. "This place," he whispered. "It feels alive." Lyra nodded. "It is. The temple tests those who enter. If your mind is weak, if your heart doubts, it will trap you. Maybe forever." They stepped inside. The air was heavy with a strange energy. Light shimmered along the floor, creating paths that twisted and turned unpredictably. Shadows danced across walls, forming illusions of people and creatures from another time. Arav's pulse quickened as he realized the temple was not just a place, it was a challenge, a test of courage, mind, and soul. Suddenly, the illusions intensified. Arav saw visions of himself lying dead on the rocks, the alien child crying. Flames consuming everything. His own fear stared back at him, whispering that he could never succeed, that he was just a man. He froze, Move, Lyra urged. The temple is judging you. You cannot stay here. Arav closed his eyes and took a deep breath. 15 years of survival, of fighting fear, of facing death, all converged in that moment. He remembered the child, now grown into Lyra, who trusted him completely. He remembered the voice from the darkness. You will be needed. He stepped forward. The illusions wavered, shifting into faint shapes, then disappeared. The path to the inner chamber opened. Lyra smiled faintly. You are ready, but only just. The inner chamber was breathtaking. A large crystalline structure floated above a pedestal, radiating light that filled the entire room. The Heart of Dawn. Arav approached cautiously, feeling the energy hum in tune with his heartbeat. When he touched it, a surge of power shot through his body, cold and electrifying. Like holding a star in his hands, suddenly, pain exploded through him. His vision blurred. He fell to his knees, gasping. The Heart of Dawn was alive, and it was testing him, reaching into his very life force. Lyra rushed forward. You can do this. Control it. You are stronger than you know. Arav gritted his teeth, struggling against the overwhelming energy. He had faced death once before, but this was different. This was power itself, raw and ancient, demanding loyalty and courage. At that moment, visions of Vrax's fleet appeared, ready to strike, ready to destroy everything if Arav failed. Lyra's trust, the cries of the child he had saved, voice from the darkness, all of it fueled him. With a final effort, he forced the Heart of Dawn to synchronize with his pulse. The light around him blazed, filling the chamber, chasing away fear, shadow, and doubt. He stood upright, trembling but alive, connected to a power beyond anything he had imagined. For a moment, the temple was silent, respectful, waiting. Then, Lyra whispered, You've done it, but Vrax is coming, and he will not be stopped by anyone else. Arav looked at her, understanding the truth. The Heart of Dawn had chosen him, yes, but the real challenge was still ahead. The enemy was near. The final test was not inside the temple. It was out there, waiting. Above the dead planet, the sky darkened as black ships reappeared on the horizon. Arav tightened his fists. He had survived death once. Now he would face the coming battle, stronger, alive and ready, and the lost temple had prepared him for what was next. The horizon was black with fire. Vrax's fleet had found them. Ships hovered over the ruined planet, casting red shadows across the temple's walls. Arav stood beside Lyra, the Heart of Dawn pulsing in his hands, its light bright enough to rival the rising sun. His fingers tightened around the crystal's energy, and for a moment he felt invincible. But he knew instinctively, power alone would not save them. They're too many. Lyra said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. If they reach me, everything ends. You must protect me, and yourself. Arav nodded. His heart beat like a drum in his chest. 15 years ago, he had faced death and returned. Now death was coming again, faster, stronger, and with intent. The first wave of Vrax's soldiers stormed the temple. They moved like shadows, weapons glowing with red energy. Arav fired the Heart of Dawn. Blinding beams of light cut through the darkness, throwing soldiers backward. But for every one he destroyed, 2 more advanced, faster and stronger, took their place. Lyra held the glowing orb, her hands shaking. Arav, focus, you are the guardian. He roared, channeling the energy through his entire body. The ground cracked beneath his feet, light shooting upward, forming barriers that pushed the enemy back. Sparks flew as alien soldiers collided with shields of pure energy. Yet Vrax's forces did not relent. A shadow fell across the chamber. Arav looked up and saw Vrax himself descending in a massive armored suit. His eyes glowed crimson, his presence crushing. Give me the princess, human. Vrax's voice thundered inside Arav's mind. Or all this dies, including you. Arav swallowed, fear gnawing at him. He had faced impossible odds before, but this was different. This was not a random attack. Vrax was precise, intelligent, and merciless. Lyra stepped forward, holding her orb like a weapon. "You'll have to kill me first," she said. Vrax laughed, a sound that shook the temple. He raised his hand, and a wave of energy shot toward them. Arav raised the Heart of Dawn. The beams collided with Vrax's attack, exploding into a blinding storm of light and sound. Arav felt the power surge through his veins, pushing him beyond fear, beyond weakness. He moved like lightning, striking at Vrax with precise bursts of energy, while Lyra channeled her orb to create barriers and shields. The temple shook. Cracks split the walls, and shards of crystal floated in the air. But Arav kept going, remembering the child he saved, the voice from death, and the promise he had made to protect Lyra. Vrax retaliated, striking with dark energy that forced Arav to step back. Pain shot through him as the Heart of Dawn threatened to overwhelm his body. He faltered, and for a moment, it seemed Vrax would win. But then Lyra's voice rang clear. "Arav, you are stronger than this. Trust yourself." The words ignited something inside him. Arav took a deep breath, letting the Heart of Dawn synchronize with his pulse completely. Light exploded from him like a nova, driving Vrax backward. The enemy. Soldiers screamed as the energy wave engulfed them, scattering them across the ruined planet. Vrax fell to one knee, furious. He unleashed a final massive strike, dark energy that could destroy the entire temple. Arav's chest tightened. This was the moment he had feared. His body shook, his vision blurred. Then he remembered death. How he had faced it and survived. How he had been needed before. With a roar, Arav pushed every ounce of strength into the Heart of Dawn, blocking Vrax's strike. Light and dark collided, filling the sky with fire and energy. And then, silence. When the light faded, Vrax lay defeated, his forces scattered, and the temple intact. Barely. Lyra ran to Arav's side, trembling but alive. He was breathing heavily, his body exhausted, but he was still standing. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved me." And everyone. Arav looked out at the horizon. The battle was won, for now. But somewhere in the shadows he knew. This was not the end. Above them, the stars blinked, watching the man who had faced death twice and survived. And the final challenge was still coming. The battle was over, but the sky above the temple still glowed with the remnants of red and purple energy. Vrax's forces were scattered across the barren planet, defeated, but not entirely destroyed. Arav stood at the edge of the temple, the Heart of Dawn pulsing faintly in his hands. His chest heaved, his body ached. And yet, a deeper challenge waited, one he had felt since the moment he returned from death 15 years ago. Lyra approached him, her violet eyes softening. "Arav, are you all right?" He shook his head. I feel it again. The same pull I felt when I died. The same voice." The Heart of Dawn hummed, brighter now, as if reacting to his words. Arav realized the truth. The final power of the heart required a sacrifice, a part of himself, not just courage or strength. His life itself. "I have faced death before," he whispered to Lyra, "and I will face it again. If it means saving everyone." Before she could stop him, Arav placed his hands fully on the Heart of Dawn. Energy surged through his body, blinding and burning, yet exhilarating. He fell to his knees, gasping. The temple's walls shook as light poured, outlinking the planet, the stars, and him together. He was no longer just a man. He was the guardian. Vrax, hidden in the shadows, watched from afar. His eyes widened in fear and rage. The power Arav commanded now was beyond anything he could control. And then, as if the universe itself had joined, Arav's fight, the Heart of Dawn flared into pure white energy, cutting through Vrax's last attack and destroying his fleet in a single blinding wave. Pain shot through Arav's body. His vision blurred. He felt himself slipping, his heartbeat slowing, his consciousness fading. For a moment, he remembered the first time he died, the darkness, the void, the voice calling him. And this time he understood it fully. Death was not the end. It was a doorway. He saw visions of Earth Lyra and the child he saved so long ago. He felt the gratitude of countless lives, alien and human, all connected by the act of his courage. And then, a presence spoke to him, not in words, but in feeling. You have done what we asked. You are worthy. Arav's body convulsed. With the last surge of energy, he was falling into nothingness, but he was not afraid. He trusted the force that had chosen him 15 years ago, the one that had marked him as guardian. And then, as suddenly as it began, the energy receded. His knees hit the ground, but he was alive. His breath came in ragged gasps, but the power of the heart of dawn now flowed through him, controlled, balanced, and alive. Lyra rushed to him, tears shining in her eyes. You survived. You did it. Arav looked at her, exhausted but smiling faintly. It's over, for now, but this is just the beginning. There will always be threats, always challenges, but we survived them together. The temple was silent, peaceful for the first time in centuries. Outside, the sky cleared. Stars twinkled like watchful eyes. Arav realized something profound. He had returned from death twice. Not because he was strong, but because he chose to protect others, even at the cost of his life. Lyra took his hand. The Empire, my people, need you, not just as a guardian, but as a leader, as my advisor, and maybe more. Arav looked at Earth from the temple's edge, the blue marble shining far below. A place of quiet, simple life, the world he had once returned to. And then he looked at Lyra, at the galaxy of possibilities that lay before him. He had faced death. He had been chosen. And now he was ready. Arav smiled, finally at peace. Then let's begin. Above them, the stars blinked, witnessing the man who had died and returned. Twice, the guardian of Earth and the lost empire was ready to face the future.